I guess I could have some show left, but I didn't really, I don't know, produce it as well as my other shows. And I was thinking of taking calls, and then when the calls when I can't hear the callers, it makes it to where, I don't know, kind of like kills the show a little bit. So we're going to talk a little bit about Agartha here. The word Agartha, it's a Buddhist origin, and it refers to the subterranean world whose existence all true Buddhists fervently believe. They also believe that this subterranean world has millions of inhabitants and many, many cities, all under the supreme domination of the subterranean world capital, Shambhala, where dwells the supreme ruler of this empire, known in the Orient as the King of the World. It is believed that he gave his orders to the Dalai Lama of Tibet, who was his terrestrial representative, and his messages being transmitted through certain secret tunnels connecting the subterranean world with Tibet. Similar mysterious tunnels honeycomb Brazil. Brazil in the west and Tibet in the east seem to be the two parts of the earth where contact between the subterranean world and the surface world is most easily achieved due to the existence of these tunnels. The famous Russian artist and philosopher Nicholas Roerich, who traveled extensively in the Far East, claimed that Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, was connected by a tunnel with Shambhala, capital of the subterranean empire of Agartha. This entrance to the tunnel was guarded by lamas who were sworn to keep the actual whereabouts a secret from outsiders by order of the Dalai Lama. A similar tunnel was believed to connect the secret chambers at the base of the Pyramid of Giza with the subterranean world by which the pharaohs established contact with the gods or supermen of the underworld. The various gigantic statues of the early Egyptian gods and kings, as those of the Buddha found throughout the Orient, represent subterranean supermen who came to the surface to help the human race. They are generally represented as sexless. They were emissaries of Agartha, the subterranean paradise, which it is the goal of all true Buddhists to reach. What else do I have here? December 12, 1929, U.S. Navy polar expeditions have determined the existence of an undeterminable land existent beyond the pole points. January 13, 1956, as this book is being prepared, a U.S. air unit penetrated to the extent of 2,300 miles beyond the assumed south pole of the Earth. The flight was always over land and water and ice. For very substantial reasons, this memorable flight received negligible press notice. The United States and more than 30 other nations prepared unprecedented polar expeditions for 1957 and 58 to penetrate land now proved to extend beyond both pole points. The original disclosure of the land unknown beyond the poles in 1926 and 28 was captioned by the press as more daring than anything Jules Verne ever conceived. 1947, February, Richard Byrd, I'd like to see the land beyond the pole, that area beyond the pole which is the center of the great unknown. 1956, January 13th, members of the United States expedition accomplished a flight of 2,700 miles from the base of McMurdo Sound, which is 400 miles west of the South Pole, and penetrated a land extent of 2,300 miles beyond the pole. This was a radio announcement confirmed by the press on February the 5th, 1956. On March 13th of 1956, the present expedition has opened up a vast new land from Admiral Byrd's diary. 1957, also from Byrd's journals. That enchanting continent in the sky, land of everlasting mystery. There is no physical end of the Earth's northern and southern extremities. The Earth cannot be circumnavigated north and south within the meaning of the word circumnavigate. However, certain round-the-world flights have contributed to the popular misconception that the Earth has been circumnavigated north and south. Over the North Pole, with return to the North Temperate Zone areas, without turning around, it can never be accomplished because there is no northern end of the Earth. The same condition holds true to the South Pole. The existence of worlds beyond the poles has been confirmed by the United States naval exploration during the past 30 years. The confirmation is substantial. The world's eldest explorer, Rear Admiral Richard Evelyn Byrd, commanded the government's memorable expedition to that endless land beyond the South Pole. Prior to his departure from San Francisco, he delivered the momentous radio announcement, "This is the most important expedition in the history of the world." The subsequent January 13, 1956 penetration of the land beyond the pole to the extent of 2,300 miles proved that the Admiral had not been exaggerating. Let's see. Many people have stated that commercial flights continuously fly across the pole, flying to the opposite side of the Earth. However, this is not true, and though the airlines officials themselves might say that it is not literally true. They do not make navigational maneuvers which automatically eliminate a flight beyond the pole in a straight line. Ask the pilots of these polar flights, and when they come to the exact point near the poles, their actual their navigation equipment does not work in that area. And for this very reason, why they never supposedly fly over the poles, because they claim it's too dangerous. Let's see here. No human being has ever flown directly over the North Pole and continued straight on. We have the planes to do it. The editor, let's see, navigation is not to be made by the compass or by triangulation on existing maps, but solely by the gyro compass on an undeviated straight course from the moment of takeoff to the moment of landing. Let's see. January 1947, prior to flight, author was enabled to sell a series of newspaper features to an international syndicate only because of this author's assurance to the syndicate director that Byrd would in fact go beyond the imaginary North Pole. Let's see. Speaking of the reports of Admiral Byrd's February 1947 flight beyond the North Pole, which appeared in New York newspapers, these accounts described Byrd's 1,700-mile flight of 7 hours over land and freshwater lakes beyond the assumptive North Pole end of the Earth, and the dispatches were intensified until a strict censorship was imposed from Washington. Another American writer on flying saucers was impressed by Byrd's discoveries and came to the conclusion that flying saucers must come from an advanced civilization in the Earth's interior, whose outer fringes Byrd visited. When Admiral Byrd... Hey, how's it going? When Admiral Byrd went into this unknown country, into the center of the great unknown, where was he? In the light of the theory of Marshall Gardner, he was at the very doorway that leads to the Earth's interior, which lies beyond the pole. Both Alaska and Canada have much more of their share of sightings of flying saucers. Is there some connection with the land beyond the pole, that unknown territory inside the Earth? Let's see. Actually, I only have about... Really, actually, the outro should be rolling. So, thanks for watching tonight and putting up with me.